Okay, so welcome to the deep dive.
Mm.
Today, we're going to try to tackle something that I think we all think about quite a bit in our careers, and that is job interviews.
Yes.
Um, and you shared this really great Career Conversations podcast episode, and it is full of so much amazing advice, whether you're, a seasoned pro or you're just starting out in the job market.
Absolutely. And you've likely sent this our way because you're either actively navigating that job landscape, you're gearing up for that interview, or maybe you just want to understand what it takes to land that ideal role.
Right.
Our mission today is to pull out the most valuable pieces from this material and give you a clearer understanding and hopefully a real boost of confidence as you approach this process.
Yeah, for sure. And we're going way beyond just like the questions you might get asked or,
Right.
how to answer them.
Right.
This source really digs into everything from like understanding all the different kinds of interviews you might encounter to even where to actually find the job openings in the first place.
Yeah.
And then even how to nail your professional presentation and how to manage those pre-interview nerves.
Absolutely.
So, okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
And I think the first thing that stood out to me that we should talk about is this idea that an interview isn't just one single experience.
Yeah, what's fascinating here is that a lot of people prepare for every interview the exact same way. But this source makes a crucial distinction.
Right.
There are actually different formats, and those different formats are designed to evaluate very different aspects of you as a candidate.
Okay.
So think about the contrast between an HR interview and a technical interview.
Oh, yeah.
The first one, the HR interview, is really focused on understanding you.
Yeah.
Like, what is your personality? What is your communication style? How might you integrate into the existing culture at this company?
Right. It's all about that like cultural fit. Are you going to be a good addition to the team or not?
Exactly.
But then you've got the technical interview, and that one is like shifting gears entirely. It's all about your skills.
Yeah.
Can you actually do the job? Can you solve problems? Are you going to be able to get in there and do what needs to be done?
And when we connect this to the bigger picture,
Yeah.
we can see why companies do both of these.
Oh, yeah?
They need individuals who are not only competent, but also who can collaborate.
Yeah.
And so the source also sheds light on group discussions, which is another interview format that you might encounter.
Oh, yeah.
And these are often used in fields like consulting or, for MBA admissions, because they really simulate, the real world where
Yeah.
you have to solve problems in a group.
Yeah, you see this a lot with MBA programs or consulting firms or even, large hiring processes where they're trying to hire a bunch of people all at once.
Right.
And it's really fascinating because it's not just about, your brilliance on your own. It's about how you work with a team, how clearly you can articulate your ideas, and even how you handle disagreements.
Exactly. So this format really helps, highlight your teamwork and communication abilities in, a really dynamic setting. Right.
Okay, so then another thing that we should talk about are video interviews.
Oh, yeah. Video interviews are almost standard now, right?
They really are for so many initial screenings and even later stage interviews,
Yeah.
largely because of the rise of remote work.
Yeah.
These platforms like Zoom, Teams, Google Meet, this is where a lot of these happen.
Right.
And the source highlights that just because you're at home in your comfy clothes
Yeah.
doesn't mean you can be any less prepared than you would for an in-person.
That's so true.
So are you giving your video interviews the same level of seriousness that you would in in-person?
Yeah, and the source actually shared this story that's so memorable
Oh, yes.
about someone who had a really messy background.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you could just see all this stuff, and their camera angle was, really bad.
Yes.
And the point of the story was, they may have nailed all the content and the questions, but because their presentation was so unprofessional,
Yes.
it really detracted from how they came across.
And it just reminds you that these small things, like the lighting, the background noise, looking into the camera,
Yes,
they really matter,
they do.
even when you're not in the same physical room.
It really demonstrates attention to detail and respect for the interviewer's time, even though you're not physically there.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so once you kind of understand the different formats,
Yes.
You've got to actually find the jobs in the first place.
Right. And let's be honest, the job hunt can be a little overwhelming.
Yeah.
It can feel like you're sifting through endless listings.
Yeah,
But the good news is there's a wealth of online resources available to you.
totally.
And one platform that gets special mention is LinkedIn.
Oh, yeah. LinkedIn.
And what's valuable is that it's so much more than just a job board.
Yeah.
It's an actual professional networking platform where recruiters are actively searching for talent. And this means you have the opportunity to not only discover postings, but also to build connections with people in your industry and even directly with recruiters at companies that you're interested in.
Yeah, and if you take the time to keep your profile up to date,
Yes,
you can often apply for jobs with just one click,
that's right.
which makes the process a lot easier.
Totally.
But, there's also some other well-known general portals out there,
Yes.
like Indeed, Naukri.com, Monster India, and Shine.com.
Yes.
It really just depends on, where you are, what you're looking for.
Absolutely. And for those of you specifically focused on opportunities in Dubai or the UAE,
Yes.
the source highlights Bait.com and Gulf Talent.
Yes, these are really important sites if you're looking at the Middle East.
Yes.
And it's important to remember that applying for jobs in that region often involves, different considerations.
Right.
Like your visa status, are you located in the country, are you willing to relocate?
Right. These are details that you will need to include in your applications.
Yeah.
So understanding the nuances of the region is super important when you're pursuing international roles.
Yeah, sure.
And the source also offers a great piece of advice.
Yeah.
If you are pursuing an international role, try going directly to the company website,
Oh, yeah.
that careers page or vacancies page.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah.
Because then you bypass those big job portals,
That's right.
which, can be super noisy and maybe
Yeah.
your application won't get seen.
Exactly.
So, okay, you've identified some openings. You're starting to prep.
Yes.
Let's talk about an area that I think a lot of people underestimate,
Okay.
and that is your dressing sense and your overall professional grooming,
Right.
because it really can make a difference.
It can, and it ties back to that first impression.
Yeah, exactly.
Whether it's in person or virtual,
Yeah,
your appearance says a lot about you before you even speak.
absolutely. And for the men listening, they suggested sticking with the classics. Light-colored shirt, dark trousers, polished leather shoes,
Yeah.
and they even said what to avoid.
Yes.
Like, bright, distracting colors, flashy patterns, no sneakers, and, of course, neatly trimmed hair. And if you have a beard, make sure it's tidy.
Absolutely.
And for women, they recommended, that same level of professionalism.
Yes.
Maybe a formal blazer, trousers, or a skirt. And they even called out the colors,
They did.
like white, beige, navy, gray.
Yep.
And closed-toe shoes, either heels or flats.
Right, but nothing too flashy.
Yeah, or uncomfortable.
Yes.
You want to be able to walk in there confidently.
Exactly.
And one thing that they said, which I thought was really interesting,
Okay.
was to be mindful of how much perfume or cologne you wear.
Yes.
Like, a light application is okay, but you don't want to overdo it because it can be really distracting to the interviewer.
That's right, especially if you're in a confined space.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And for those with long hair, they recommended tying it back neatly,
Yes.
which I think just helps keep the focus on your face.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you've looked the part, you've done your research,
Yeah.
but there's still that feeling of, nervous energy.
Of course, pre-interview jitters. That's totally normal.
Yeah.
And the key is learning to manage that nervousness so it doesn't, mess with you during the interview.
Yeah, totally.
And one of the techniques they mentioned was deep breathing.
Oh, yeah.
Like literally right before you walk into the room or click that join meeting button.
It's so simple, but it really helps.
It does.
Another common mistake is talking too fast.
Yes.
When you're nervous, you just kind of speed up.
They do.
And they suggested pausing,
Yes.
taking a sip of water if you need to,
Right.
and just slowing down your pace.
Yes, because that pause can also allow you to gather your thoughts.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Okay, and then there's this story they told that I just love.
Oh, tell me.
It's about the host and how they totally blanked
Oh.
when asked, "So, what do you know about our company?"
Oh, no.
And, it's this big lesson for them about how important it is to actually do your research.
It's so important. And it's not just about, being able to answer that question. It's
Yeah.
about showing genuine interest.
Totally.
So take the time to go to their website, look at their projects, understand their position in the industry.
Yeah, it shows that you're not just, applying to every job you see.
That's right.
You're specifically interested in this one. And I think that makes a huge difference to the interviewer.
It does.
Okay, so just to quickly recap what we've talked about today.
Yes.
We've discussed all the different types of interviews you might encounter.
Yes.
How to find those openings, whether it's through general job sites or ones specific to certain regions,
Right.
how to dress professionally, and then how to manage your nerves and avoid those common mistakes.
Yes, and remember all those little details.
Yes.
From optimizing your video setup to actually researching the company,
Yeah,
they all add up.
they really do. And one thing that I thought was interesting that we should reiterate is that an interview is a two-way street.
It is.
It's not just them evaluating you, it's also you evaluating them.
That's right.
Pay attention to their questions, how they present themselves, how you feel about the company. Absolutely.
And the source also had some really great words about rejection.
Yes.
It's easy to feel discouraged
Of course.
when you don't get a job. But every interview is a learning experience.
It is.
So you can get better for the next one.
Absolutely.
So as you think about what we've talked about today,
Yes.
think about which part of the interview process maybe needs the most of your attention.
Right.
Is it understanding the format? Is it your job search strategy? Is it how you present yourself? Is it how you manage your nerves?
Exactly.
And how can understanding these things empower you to just, approach your job search more strategically, more confidently,
That's right.
so that you can put your best foot forward,
Absolutely.
both literally and figuratively.
Had got it.
Awesome.
Great conversation.
Yeah, this was really helpful.
I'm glad.
Thanks for sharing this episode with me.
Of course. Anytime.
Okay. And to all of our listeners out there, good luck with your job hunt.
Yes, good luck.
We're all rooting for you.
Okay. That's it for the deep dive today. We'll see you next time.
See you later.